And welcome back, everyone. My name's Tyler Boronski. You're watching my YouTube channel where I interview professional athletes and celebrities. Joining me over the phone today is a professional baseball player formerly with the St. Louis Cardinals and was also a member of Team Israel in the World Baseball Classic last year, Mr. Corey Baker. Corey, what's going on? Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Tyler. Everything's good. Just enjoying some off-season time and just ready to get going soon here.
For sure, man, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of the World Baseball Classic, I saw on Twitter recently that there's actually a documentary about your guys' experience on Team Israel coming out soon. I mean, you must be excited to check that out. So, was there a lot of cameras and videographers following you guys during that experience?
Yeah, that video is going to be pretty cool. It's awesome they got to document everything since it was our first time making that the World Baseball Classic, and yeah, there were some cameras around. I was fortunate enough to be chosen to go on a trip of there's 10 of us that went to Israel a couple months before the tournament, and yeah, there was some guys documenting all of that, and yeah, I'm just excited to see how that turns out. I think it's going to be great to kind of raise some awareness for people that there's baseball in Israel, and we're pretty good, and I'm excited to see how that turns out and how people react to it.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I can't wait to check that out as well. That's going to be really cool to see.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about some of those guys on that Team Israel team, though. Because going into the tournament, obviously not too many high expectations for you guys. I think Nate Fryman put it best in the Players Tribune article saying, you guys were just a bunch of minor leaguers. And I think I read it was like almost 90% of the team were minor leaguers. So talk to me about the chemistry and expectations from the guys in the clubhouse. Do you think since your guys' backgrounds were so similar that helped with the quick camaraderie on the team as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no doubt in any sport at any level, the teams that have success are definitely guys that get along, enjoy being around each other, and have that camaraderie. So that definitely played a big factor in it. We had a lot of guys who played with each other in the minors. We played together in the qualifier, played against each other, maybe whether it be in college or in professional baseball somewhere. So I think that familiarity with each other definitely helped. But I also think that a lot of people don't really realize how good minor league baseball is. I think a lot of people just kind of say, oh, it's the minors. Oh, they're in Double A, they're in Triple A, and I don't think people really realize the high level of baseball that minor league baseball really is. So we had guys that had that Double A, Triple A experience, and I haven't been to the big leagues, but it's really good baseball, and I think that kind of spoke for itself when we were able to take out some of the teams that were the perennial powers of that tournament, like Korea and China Taipei, and we beat the Netherlands one time. So I think it was definitely a combination of like you mentioned, how we all got along, the camaraderie, and just kind of honestly, I don't think people realize what minor league baseball truly is.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I covered independent baseball for a while in the Atlantic League. I don't know how familiar you are with that league, but like
Yeah.
even that competition, like it's phenomenal, and people don't even give that credit. So definitely, Double A and Triple A baseball is really, really good baseball.
Yeah, exactly. And I know the Atlantic League, I mean, that league has a ton of guys that have major league experience or, Double A and Triple A experience. So again, there's high level baseball all around. And I think that's also one of the draws about as a fan. If you go to a Double A, Triple A independent league game, it's cheap and you get to still see good baseball. So I think it's a cool experience that people get to see that.
No doubt about that. I definitely agree with that. So yeah, like you talked about, I mean, you guys did succeed expectations. You spoke on, winning the qualifiers. You go over to South Korea and win the pool over there, and then you just missed out of winning the second round in Japan. But you were a big reason for the team's success overall. You threw 5 scoreless innings in against Brazil, I believe, in the qualifier game, and then
Yeah.
4 2/3 scoreless against Chinese Taipei in the first round. So, I mean, as a competitor, you just must embrace those opportunities to pitch in such meaningful games. So, what was working so well for you personally in those appearances for Team Israel for you?
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, as a competitor, when there's a lot on the line, it makes it fun. It makes you definitely want to step your game up. That game against Brazil, it was, one of the most meaningful games I've ever pitched in my entire life. Go back to college and maybe, you talk about like the Big East tournament where it's, kind of win or go home.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
other than that, when you play in the minor leagues, like the reality kind of is that your performance definitely matters, but maybe not so much the team performance. Whereas here, it's, hey, there's 25 other guys really depending on you. So that really brought out I think the best in me, and why I was able to pitch so well, and it was just so much fun. I got to see us win the night before, so I pitched game 2 against Brazil, like you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, and we played Great Britain the first night, and the atmosphere was just, it was awesome, and it really just put me in, I think, a good state of mind to go out there, compete, and just give the team everything I had, and I was fortunate enough to go ahead and help us do that. And then kind of a similar situation with Chinese Taipei. I
Mm-hmm.
pitched game 2, and we played Korea game 1, so it was just amazing,
Yeah.
like stadium packed. I mean, baseball over there, the fans are amazing. And again, it was kind of like I got to take in the atmosphere. I got to see what it was all about. I loved it. I relished it. I saw how the team was fighting. We all rallied around each other. That was a nail biter game,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was just like, hey, this is so much fun. This is such a great experience. I'm just going to embrace it and just do everything I can. And I think just that the atmosphere just kind of just puts you in a good state of mind. Just go out and do your thing, and it was fun. I mean, it was a fun experience.
Oh, fantastic, man. And you're
Yeah.
talking about, playing in such great atmospheres. When you guys went over to Japan, I heard the fan experience was kind of crazy over there. There's like 43,000 plus fans each game. And I spoke with Blake Galen, one of your former
Yep.
teammates, about this, and he said he talked to Sam Fold, who's, one of the main big leaguers on your guys' team, and even Sam said that's like as good as it gets. So, what was the atmosphere and fan experience like in Japan? Even though I know you didn't get to participate in the games, but just being over there, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. That game against Japan, it's a dome which definitely
Hmm.
contains the noise, the Tokyo Dome. And that game against Japan, I think, like you mentioned, at least 43,000. I think we heard, up around
Oh
50,000, and
wow. Yeah.
and we took them. It was nothing into either the fifth or sixth inning, and obviously, unfortunately, we lost that game, didn't get to move on. But in the fifth or sixth inning, one of their guys hit a solo home run, and I have just never heard a place erupt, like it did, and it was, I kind of get the goosebumps right now, just like
Yeah.
thinking about it. So it was great. I mean, to move on and come here, because once it advanced, I think it was to San Diego and LA. Watching on TV, it looked like it was amazing here too.
Mm-hmm.
But just the chants and the different stuff that the fans kind of do over there it was great to get to kind of witness that. And I had my mom and my girlfriend were
Okay.
over there with me, and they got to experience it, and I was really happy that they got to see it in person too, because just talking about it even right now, it's hard to do it justice.
Yeah, no, it sounds unbelievable. Really, that's
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
So transition a little bit, because you did play for the St. Louis Cardinals organization for a while, 7 years to be exact.
Hmm.
However, unfortunately, last season in the middle of the year, they decided to release you. I'm sure to a lot
Yeah.
of Cardinals fans' surprise. How surprised were you when they told you that news, especially since you were a Double A All Star a couple weeks prior, and then obviously with the success with Team Israel earlier in the year? So, what was their explanation for the move?
Yeah, I was pretty surprised by it. Like you mentioned, I
Mm-hmm.
had been with them for a while. Got drafted in 2011, and just had a really good experience. I think I learned a lot. You hear a lot of good things about the Cardinals
Mm-hmm.
organization. All true. I think they're great at developing players, and I'm fortunate I got to play with some guys and see some of my good friends and teammates make it up to the big leagues. I was pretty shocked when I got released, especially because of the year I was having. I think, I was a later draft pick, never a prospect, so the
Mm-hmm.
life of a minor leaguer, you're never sure where you're going to be the next day. I could tell you countless times I showed up to the field on days where you knew a roster move had to happen or spring training cuts were being made, and it's in your head, hey, I could
Mm-hmm.
definitely get released. I'm definitely on the bubble. I'm definitely one of those guys. But I didn't think I would be one of those guys, like you mentioned, a couple weeks after, being an all-star.
Yeah.
But that's the way the game works. They had some spots they needed to clear up. There was some pitchers coming off the DL above us, and everything is dictated by that major league roster. And I think there was 2 or 3 relievers coming off the DL within a 2 or 3 day window, and I obviously wasn't a candidate to go back to high A because of my age and experience, and I think they were just ready to, cut ties, move on, and maybe give me a chance somewhere else. So it was kind of unfortunate. You never want your season to end early, and I definitely got heard from some fans who I had built relationships with over the years. I spent a lot of time in Springfield and got to know a lot of those fans, and a lot of them reached out to me and expressed they're surprised by it. But at the end of the day, it's a business. The Cardinals did what they felt was the right move, and that's just kind of the way things shook out that year. Nothing but good things to say though about my time over there.
Sure, man, definitely. And yeah, fans, understand this man right here was an all-star a couple weeks prior, and he got released. So really, minor league baseball itself is just crazy sometimes. But yeah,
you definitely never know where you're going to be, and as soon as you think you have it figured out, you are going to get told something that you had no idea was going to happen, and that's how the game is. So
yeah, for sure. All right, final question for you, Corey. You did mention you're currently still a free agent, and I know spring training is only a month away, so I'm sure you're anxious to sign with someone soon. Let's say all 30 major league teams are listening to this. You never know. But what would be your pitch to those teams on why you can benefit their organization? What are some of your strengths as a player that you think could help an organization out?
Yeah, well, if I make a good pitch, maybe we could send it to all of them.
For sure.
I think I have a lot of experience. I think one of the biggest thing that helps me is my versatility. If you look throughout my career, I have over 200 appearances and I think about 50 starts. In my career, I've always bounced back and forth between being a reliever and a starter, and been extremely durable and effective. I think I have pretty good career numbers, especially given the circumstances, like I said, where I would have times where I'd be in the bullpen, things would be going good, a starter gets hurt, hey, you're making 2, 3, 4, 5 spot starts, and then back to the bullpen. And, to make those transitions back and forth, it, isn't always easy. I had a year in 2016 where I was just a starter the whole year and was able to eat up a lot of innings. So I think that's something I think is extremely valuable to have on your pitching staff, that not only I could do that, but I think do it pretty successfully if you look at my numbers. So I think that would be my biggest pitch to, an organization and a team. I don't know what manager wouldn't want someone on their roster that has that flexibility. I was, like you said, on All-Star this year. I had 6 saves and 6 opportunities. So really there's just any role I feel comfortable in, and I just feel like that's extremely valuable and pretty rare. So I think that's how I could help a team out.
Yeah, for sure. I agree 100%. I'm a fan of yours, Corey, so I'm really pulling for you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And, like you said, hopefully something happens here soon. It's been an interesting offseason. I've heard, it's been really slow, and still waiting for some bigger names to sign. But, I think things will open up for me here soon. And I'm just excited to kind of start somewhere fresh, get some new eyes on me, and you just never know what can happen.
Yeah, I hope so, man. Corey, just a final thing. If you have any social media plugs you want to, I guess, for fans to follow you on Twitter or Instagram, maybe you have that, just to plug that out there.
Yeah, sure. I'm not on Instagram. I'm a little low-key on that, but big fan of Twitter. Pretty active on there. So I think it's @ and then Corey Baker. So just my name. I love interacting with fans on there. So people tweet me. I love responding. I think that's a cool thing that we can do now, is a lot of fans have questions and want to, interact. And I think it's a great way for guys to do it. So I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, perfect. Nice and simple. Yeah, definitely tweet Corey if you have any questions. And fans, you can follow this YouTube channel at TBAutos512. I think at the time of this recording, pretty close to 1,000 subscribers. So if you want to help out, subscribe if you want. And then Facebook's the same name plus interviews, and on Twitter at Ty Boronski10. Corey, really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview, and all the best to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Tyler. It was a lot of fun, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Awesome, man. Thank you, man.